Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Brian Shields. As it gets busier, I just want to get right to it, let you know what's going on because you got things to do. Now, here's the tropical Atlantic Caribbean over here. And again, you see these blobs of rain, storms coming off the coast of Africa now. I do not expect development there. I'll show you in a second where I do expect some development. But this right here, this kind of cluster here, not so much right here, but a little bit more over here. This here, the first tropical wave of the season. Again, it came off a few days ago. I was tracking that. So that is well out there. And you see again, let me just zoom over here a little bit. Here's the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago here, Guyana, Suriname, Barbados, St. Lucia, Dominica. And you see this cluster of rain and storms. This here, that is the convergence zone where you get the rain and storms building up. What's going to happen though pretty soon is it's going to lift a little bit more to the north, and that changes the pattern. That'll help bring us more rain. So we'll transition into that wet season. And of course, then we'll eventually be watching down the road for some development out here in the tropics. But the pattern is going to change, matter of time, as it always is. But watching the tropical waves coming off now off the coast of Africa. As we go throughout the hurricane season, which officially starts June 1st, we get about 60 of them that come off the coast of Africa. And as conditions become more conducive for development out there, some of them do develop into tropical storms and those long track hurricanes. That's usually a little bit more so as we get later into the summertime. Close to home is where we watch now for development from old fronts. And I do expect somewhere in this area here that we could get something trying to bubble up, especially as we get into next week. Right now, been watching some scattered showers around, seeing some again around Guyana. We've had some isolated flooding in spots. I get to your comments. I appreciate those. Parts of Jamaica, we've had some rain over the last couple days, and the Dominican Republic as well. I'm also going to keep an eye on the Eastern Pacific. The hurricane season has already started there. It starts a little bit earlier on May 15th. You see the clustering of rain and storms here, not seeing any signs of development. Remember, last year was pretty crazy. We had a tropical system moving into Southern California. Of course, Mexico, we had issues last year, and I'll keep an eye on everything here from Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala. On the Pacific side, got you covered. And again, over into the Gulf, watching always near Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Carolinas. Sometimes stuff tries to squeak up toward Canada and New England. So I'll be monitoring that. Now, in the short term, this is what I'm watching out for, and this is typical for this time of year, even before the start of the hurricane season. Here's Cuba, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas. Florida, right here. So what's going to happen is we get these old fronts moving off, and by next week, and I'm going to show you that in a second, by next week, somewhere in this area, we could see something trying to spin up. Early indications are that if it does, it'll try to kind of crank out into the open waters of the Atlantic. Of course, you know I'm always watching my friends in Bermuda too for potential of development nearby. But right now near the Bahamas, that's kind of the general area to watch. I like to let you know kind of what I'm thinking behind the scenes, what I'm kind of paying very close attention to. So let me start short term, and then what I'm going to do for you is broaden out the picture and go way into the future. But let's start with what's going on now because you got things to do. Spotty showers today. This is as we get into the afternoon and the evening. Hit or miss shower in Belize, Honduras. Not a ton, but again, a few around. And then some late day stuff again tomorrow. This is our Friday. Popping up a shower in Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, British U.S. Virgin Islands. I'll get to the forecast in a second for us. ABC Islands, we did have some rain a few days ago. Not as much over toward Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire at this point. Watching Montserrat, Antigua, and Barbuda. Just a passing shower chance. Look at this though. Look as we get into the weekend. The rain chance is getting higher. Yes, not for all of us, but you see here, I mentioned these old fronts, and when I widen out the view, I'm going to show you this in a second, but you see here, again, a higher chance of rain. Doesn't mean we're going to get a washout in the Dominican Republic, but the rain chance will get a bit higher here and even over toward Puerto Rico, and then eventually down the road near St. Vincent of the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, seeing a better chance of some rain as we get our way through the weekend, but more so into next week. And you see it here. Point being on this map, this is several days out. It'll change some. It's not going to be exact. It's not an exact science. But with that, the pattern is starting to get wetter. Easy for me to say if you're dealing with one of the water shortages and water restrictions. I understand that. And again, a lot of us are going to be too dry too long. Belize, for example, parts of Mexico, we haven't had a whole lot. Elsewhere in the Eastern Caribbean, we have been so dry in some spots. But at least we're seeing some signs of a change. And you see here again, a decent chance chance of rain. Northern tier as we get into Sunday, and then some extra moisture trying to feed up toward Trinidad and Tobago, even Barbados. St. Lucia, better chance of a shower as we get into Sunday. Now look at this map. Pretty because of all the colors. I don't always show you this, but this is today. Now where you see these brighter colors, the kind of purples and the reds, that's where above our heads, or really just in the atmosphere, there's extra moisture. That's where the available moisture is. Point being, in these spots, that's typically where you have a better chance of rain. And again, it coincides to what I was just showing you through the Bahamas, down through Haiti, Dominican Republic, and then down here. There's a lot of available moisture. We feel that in the form of humidity. But I'm going to keep an eye on maps like this as we get deeper into the season, because we desperately need the rain. But that tells me kind of just kind of a behind the scenes look at where we have the better chance of rain. All right, as promised, I widen out the view here. Here's Florida. Here are the Bahamas. Now, this is by Saturday. I just zoomed down and I showed you Haiti and the DR over toward Puerto Rico, that better chance of rain. Look at that rain right there. So again, we're starting to see some leftover rain. That's why I mentioned this is a spot to watch. Now, here's Texas, Louisiana, coming out, diving down from the middle of the United States into the southeast. Look at this. This is by Monday. So nothing organized, okay? But cluster of rain here, cluster of rain here. So when you have that this time of year, conditions could become a little bit favorable for something spinning up. Plus down here on Monday, a better chance of some rain. That's what I was talking about. At least starting to get some more moisture feeding in. You see that right there in the parts of the southeastern Caribbean. Now this is by Tuesday. By Tuesday, that's when I'll be kind of have a very good handle if something is going to try to spin up. We've got that moisture somewhere around here. Here's the Bahamas. Somewhere in this area, there could be some development. Now, look at this on the flip side. Western Caribbean, we are way too dry. Better chance of rain, Eastern Caribbean, and then pulling forward into deep into next week. So this is going to change some, but there could be a little spin somewhere in here. Could be a spin out here. I'll keep an eye on Bermuda. That is going to be the spot to watch as we go over the next several days into next week. While we get the rain kind of building here, I'm not seeing any signs of tropical development, although remember last year, early in the hurricane season, we had problems with flooding in Trinidad, for example. I'm going to keep an eye on that very carefully to see if that's going to be a trend we're going to have early in this hurricane season. So got you covered on a lot of angles. Now, we're about getting into June. We're not there yet, obviously, but in June, we start to get a name system or two. We may get one still later this month in May, but again, the hurricane season starts in June. So as you can see, I'm starting to look ahead more tropically, not necessarily the day-to-day stuff. I want to look ahead because I do this channel for safety. I always want to give you the advance warning on anything. And then right when we get into July, things start to bump up, and then especially August, September, and October as far as named storms go. Let's hope most stay out to sea, but we do need some beneficial rain. So hopefully we get a little, at least some tropical rain moving in. All right, now let me break down the forecast and then we'll get into what's next. Now, Jamaica, we're going to see the afternoon storms around, some evening storms. Keep me posted, 40-50% chance tomorrow in through the upcoming weekend. Now we swing back toward the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Rain chance not as high, at least right now for today. But I showed you some of the extra rain near Haiti, the Dominican Republic, even Puerto Rico. So the rain chance is going to bump up a little bit. It may bump up more so by the time we get into next week. Watching over toward St. Croix, for example. St. Kitts and Nevis, passing shower chance, about a 30% chance tomorrow in through the weekend. Not a ton. Again, passing variety. And then we swing back toward Barbados. It does bump up some. And as I showed you over toward Trinidad and Tobago, better chance of rain as we get into early next week. That includes us some in St. Lucia and Barbados. We're going to see that rain chance bumping up a touch tomorrow into the weekend, but it could be even more so by the time we get into next week. In Trinidad and Tobago, again, about a 40-50% chance of scattered showers Friday and Saturday, but later into next week, we'll see that rain chance getting even higher. All right, let's get a look at what's next and what I'm tracking overall, just to kind of give you a good recap on what's going on. So the rain chance, yes, it is going up. Not for all of us, and it will be that gradual transition to the wet season for most of us. And again, one of the examples kind of counteracting that, or just kind of on the flip side of things, drier weather in the Western Caribbean. Yes, some showers, but not a ton around Honduras, for example, passing shower chance. And I'm going to keep a very close eye. I'm going to update you on every video. So I appreciate you sharing this channel on that possibility of a spin up near the Bahamas. And by the way, yesterday we had that earthquake in Guatemala. I also want to let you know, while I don't always talk about it all the time, I do sometimes, more so on Earth QC. You could search that on YouTube, but I'm monitoring the earthquakes out there and that sort of thing as well, to do my best to keep you covered on all sorts of angles out there. So yeah, things are starting to get a little more active. We're seeing the signs of it. I just showed you that. So I'll keep you posted on this. Thank you for being part of this weather community and putting up with me. Hope you have a good day ahead.